Hello, this is Goomzilla. The elephant fruit is one of Mario's newest power-ups. You may have seen it in action in my Mario Wonder video.
Whoa!
If you want your Mario plushes to have a jumbo-sized upgrade, you'll need to give them one of these fruits. Maybe you'd like to make an elephant fruit for one of your friends or family, or even as a Christmas present or a birthday present. Be sure to follow this tutorial and you'll give your Marios a wonderful upgrade. To get started, you'll need felt in the colours red, cream, green, and a small amount of black and white. Then you'll need thread in the colours black, white, red, and also dark green could be useful, and a needle. You'll also need pins, scissors and or nail scissors, and stuffing. Then head on down to the description and find the template, which looks something like this. Print it out, and then you'll need to cut out every shape. Each shape tells you the colour of felt that you'll need to cut out against, and also the number of pieces you'll need of each type. For example, you'll need 4 pieces of the cream body. Use pins to keep the paper attached to the felt as you cut. Here you can see the 4 completed body pieces. Keep going through all the pieces one by one. Some of the pieces need extra care when cutting because their edges will be visible on the outside of the finished elephant fruit. These are the leaf, ears, top, eyes, and pupils. I generally find the eyes easier to do freehand than using a template, as long as you know roughly what size you want. For the ears, you might want to go over them with nail scissors to smooth out the edges and create a little more of an indent on the under ear. You should also have a stem top piece, this little circle here. I missed it out from the template I was using here. Now all your pieces should be cut out. Let's start off the sewing by threading on some white thread and picking up 2 body pieces. Start off with a few loops of thread, then do blanket stitches down the edge. The idea with blanket stitches is to create a loop with your thread and then pull the needle through it. This gives a stronger stitch than just going straight through the fabric. Here's one completed edge. When you've done this a second time, take both of these pairs and match them up. You're going to do blanket stitches almost the entire way around. So start around about here near the top and go around . Here's what it looks like at the halfway point. Keep going until you get to the place where the top of the fruit will go. So around about this point. Once you reach this point, stop with a few more loops of thread. So everything except this small hole here is sewn up. And then turn it the right way out. Then add some stuffing. And now we can do something unusual here, which is we can finish this final seam with blanket stitches. This is because it's going to be hidden by the top piece later. Normally we would use ladder stitches because they're more visually appealing, but this doesn't matter because this will be hidden by the top piece later. You may need to keep adding stuffing as you go along this seam, to keep it nice and plump. Next, switch to red thread and do up the dart that will go in the middle at the front. Again, you'll want to use blanket stitches for this. Then for the next 2 darts, you need to attach the ears at the same time. Make sure you keep the ears the correct way out, so that all the blanket stitches will be on the same side. You'll want to go through both sides of the dart and the ear all in one swoop. Also make sure the ears are the correct orientation. Next for the eyes. Use white thread for this. Attach the whites of the eyes by starting on the black, then going through the black and white, then back the other way through the white and black. Do this just 2 or 3 times depending how big your eye is. You can see I did 2 stitches here. 3 might have been better. Position them around here, either side of the dart. When using the black thread to put on the eyes, avoid going through the pupils, or else the whites will have black lines through them. Here's how the top should look now the eyes and ears are complete. For the leaf, take your dark green thread. We're going to embroider the leaf pattern by doing some simple stitches. Start off at the rounded end, then go through the leaf to the side which will go to the front of your leaf. Now neatly go back on yourself to make a single long stitch. Then poke through further down the leaf and go back up to meet with your previous thread. Do this the whole way along the leaf rib. This one side will be neater than the other. Then finish off on the bad side of the leaf. Now to sew up the stem, curl it up along its longest edges. I suggest using white thread to sew it up, although I went with the dark green here. When you get to the top, incorporate the circular stem top piece. Finish off and turn the stem the right way out. You may need a pencil to help get into the corners. Then you can either attach the leaf now or do it after the stem is attached to the rest of the fruit. I chose to do it now, but you might be better off waiting so you can get it at the exact angle you want. Just use a few loops of thread to attach the leaf nearest to the top, maybe a little lower than I've placed it here. Stuff the stem with a small amount of stuffing. Continue with white thread to attach the stem to the top. I'm again using green here, but white would be better. Once you've started off, go through to roughly the center of the top. Put the stem in place and start making stitches like this which go through the red piece and then through the stem. Try to position your stem stitches towards the back or side of the fruit, but it's easy for it to spin around on this step, which is why I suggest doing the leaf once it's attached. Then you can get the right angle on your leaf. We're nearly done now. Now that the stem is in place, let's get the top onto the main body of the fruit. You'll want to line it up so that the seams on the body are roughly in line with the seams in the face and ears. You can use pins to keep it in place. Start off on the back somewhere that won't be seen. Then attach the top on with running stitches. We don't need strong stitches since we aren't stuffing inside the red top, so running stitches will do to keep it visually pleasing. It can be tough getting your needle through all pieces of felt at once, so you may find that you need to double back on yourself occasionally to fill in the gaps, like I'm doing around the front here. Don't make these stitches too long on the visible side. Remember these are on display, so try and keep everything neat. Keep the stitches a similar size to each other. Now all that's left is the trunk, which is one of the most important parts of this fruit. I suggest starting off here, just below the end of the trunk. Then go around the end, in through the dip, and then all the way round until you get to the bottom. You need to make sure you leave enough space so that you can turn it the right way out. Again, you'll probably need a pencil to get into the trunk here. Add stuffing to both the end of the trunk and the main round part. Once the trunk is nicely stuffed, you can start doing it up with ladder stitches. Here's a close-up of doing a ladder stitch for this final stitch. The idea is to go in and out in one stitch on the same side, then cross to the other side and go in and out again. This stitch minimizes the amount of thread that's visible on the outside. But it isn't the strongest, so that's why we only use it when we have to. Once you finish off, we just need to attach the trunk to the fruit. Start off behind the place where the trunk will go. Then attach the trunk by going through it, back out, and through the cream. Keep doing this the whole way round. Then finish off with some strong stitches. And now you have a completed elephant fruit. I actually think my first elephant fruit was better than this one, partly because I got the proportions better. I have actually made changes to the template off the back of this, so your elephant fruit should hopefully have better proportions too. It would have been better if the top had come down further. I think this new fruit has a bit too much bare flesh visible. I also prefer the leaf on my previous one, which is why I suggest that you do the leaf after you've already put the stem on. I think the shape of the leaf is an improvement though. The trunk on the old one is also a better shape, so I've also made a change to the template so that the trunk will be thicker for yours. Thanks for watching, and be sure to send any pictures of your finished elephant fruits to me via some of these social media options on screen. If you want to do some more sewing, check out these other tutorials. Wowie zowie!